Om Shruti Smruti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Nami Bhagavad Shankaram Lokashankaram Om Namo Bhagavate Ramanaya Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrudeva Pujanam. So beginning with this verse, so we are looking at religion. What is religion? Pujanam, religion. It's a life of activity. Life is a life of activity in which religion occupies an important role. So, the word pujanam is not just a ritual worship here. Therefore, the attitude of worshipping the higher reality, which is what we call religion. And again, I was striving to make a distinction between true religion or Vedantic religion, that is the nomenclature used by the Mahatmas, vis-a-vis the religion practiced by the masses or the populist religion. So, this is the topic with these verses. Now, when these verses are before us, if we don't look at this topic with an open mind, if we don't inquire into it, then we remain captives of some belief system all our life. And because this is a crazy world in which nobody tells you how to think, they only tell you what to think. This is a crazy world, I tell you. Therefore, this is the time to examine it. So don't count verses, count topics, don't count verses. I'll be saying the same thing even if you put another half a dozen verses before me. So, I am a very curious, I don't have any curiosity about people's affairs. Generally, I don't pay even interest to understand. And in fact, I noticed that my curiosity levels are so low. When somebody tells me, Swamiji, he is telling this about you, I say, okay, leave it up, let him tell what. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. What is he telling about me? Don't tell me. I say like that. Then once somebody told me, Swamiji, this one gentleman went and made a report against you to the head. Then I said, it's all right, don't tell me the name of that person. Because if you tell me the name of the person, I may come across that person and I will have to make an effort to overcome that small feeling, that small negative feeling. Whereas now I need not make that effort. Don't tell me the name of it. I don't want to know. Therefore, that kind of curiosity is waste. But there is always the curiosity to learn from anybody. You see, I don't call one person as the sole guru. I don't call like that. I started the life of learning as a kid, and so I am learning and learning and learning even today. And even the boy or the girl who sells flowers on that walk is a guru to me. Therefore, we have to learn. So, all this introduction I gave because once I asked a Mahatma, what is religion? Then the Mahatma said, you see, you are asking a wrong question. Because, suppose I give an answer to that. That will be a positive answer. And that will be a belief. Suppose I am a Shiva, I will say worshipping Shiva is the religion. I am a Vaishnava, worshipping Vishnu is the religion. That is the positive answer, right? What kind of positive answer it is? It is only a belief. Therefore, what is religion question will evoke an answer based on the belief. And hence, whatever answer you get will not make you wiser. It keeps you in the same ignorance in which you were earlier. Because did you ever pay attention to this fact that what is the basis of a belief? Because if you ask a person what is the religion, he will give his version of belief put his version of belief before you and say that his belief is the religion. What is the basis for belief? You have to really understand. If you consider, you will find that belief has a motive always. Without motive, you will not have a belief. That's why when the motives change, when the circumstances which fulfill the motives, the goals, change, people change religion easily. Because in a belief, there is always a motive. Either the motive could be the idea of gain or reward. So that motive is always there. And based on that motive, you pursue a belief. You become a believer. That is how belief operates. And therefore, that motive for gain or reward, it serves as the enticement. It serves as the guide, and you follow that guidance and start believing in a particular thing. Therefore, so what happens is, if you also examine, belief is based on the idea of acquisition. So, gain or reward is okay. Further, the idea of acquisition. And also, belief is based on the desire to obtain a result via action. That's why all beliefs present rituals before us to get a reward. Therefore, belief is based on the inherent attitude, the inherent desire to gain a result through some action. So this is how belief operates, and therefore in this kind of a belief system, the mind becomes crippled because it lost the faculty of thinking. It stopped thinking, and therefore so the believer, he is like a crippled person, crippled in thinking. He cannot think. That's why you can look at the believers, they don't think. And therefore in belief, you merely act according to a certain set of patterns which are put in place without any further thinking. And obviously in belief, the thought becomes crippled. And once you are aware of this, then there is freedom. Therefore, what is religion is not a right question, because it evokes a belief as an answer, and that doesn't help the person move forward. The person gets caught in a set pattern, like a person who is unable to move around puts himself in a wheelchair. That is how the belief operates. And therefore, don't ask me what is religion. I was surprised, and I asked the Mahatma, okay, what should be the right question then? Question also is wrong. What is the right question? You have to ask what is not religion. You have to come to the religion via the negative way. It is like you have a window through which you want to look out and find out what is there out. But first you have to wipe the window clean. If it is very dirty, and through the dirty window you look out, to find out things which are there, you will get a very distorted picture of what is outside. Therefore, first you have to wipe the window clean. So that kind of mind is the window through which you are looking out. What is out there, you have to find out. If you say out there is Jagat, you are just following the social and familial patterns which are already set in place. This is what is called, we inherit thought patterns. So you inherit a pattern of thinking in which you believe that there is a world outside which is real, and now you are not willing to examine it. It is like you don't want to wipe the window clean. And therefore, so you need to wipe the window clean. The window of the mind you need to wipe clean. Wipe it clean from beliefs, the attitude of belief, the attitude of desire, nechaya kartam. Wipe it clean of all motives, so that your thinking will be in the right direction. It will not be motivated by the desire to gain the result and all that. And most important, your mind must be free from fear. Because belief finds a strong foothold in your mind because of fear. And as long as there is fear, you will not be free to think. There is no freedom to think. And when you are not capable of thinking, you are crippled as far as thinking goes, then you will not be able to find the truth or God, whatever name you give to it. That's why no surprise, people, the followers of religion, they are not interested in finding the God. They are not searching for God. Certainly not. In fact, if God comes, if they are pursuing their motive, they have a desire for an end, and they are performing an action according to a belief system or a set pattern, and that is all. Therefore, God is only Chaturthi Vibhakti, the fourth case. Therefore, if God comes in the way, then he has to politely ask the God to set aside, because he has to reach his end. They are not searching for God. The religionists, they are not searching for God. That's why I say, in the society, nobody tells us to find what God is. Nobody tells. Whereas the Shruti, Brahma Sutra says, Athato Brahma Jijnasa. You find out what Brahma is. That is what it says. It doesn't say, this is the Brahma Jnanam. I am offering you Brahma Jnanam. It doesn't say. It says Brahma Jijnasa. There Bhashyakara gives a wonderful meaning to it. Jijnasa, there is some technical detail about it. I don't want to go into it. Jijnasa Vicharaha Kartavya Padadhyahara. He brings in the word Kartavyaha. So, it is not Bhavati, it is Kartavyaha. Athataha Brahma Jijnasa. Mane, the investigation of the truth, or investigation into the real, you have to pursue. That is the sutra. It doesn't say here is the jnanam which the scripture has and take it. It doesn't say that. Only some gurus say that, unfortunately. The Brahma Sutra doesn't say. Did you ever carefully read Taittiriya Upanishad? There, Bhrugu Vaivarunehi Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. The father and the son. The son goes to the father and asks, Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Dear sir, revered sir, please teach me what Brahman is. Then the father, the son is most dear to the father. So the father should tell him what is Brahman. Father doesn't do that. Father says, Tasma Tatprovacha, he told, Annam pranam chakshushrotram manovachamiti. Look at the body, the life, the mind, the organ of speech, their functions. That is where you have to investigate. Where you should search. That is where you should search. And then what are the pointers of search? For searching you should have certain pointers, What are the yato va imani bhutani jayante, like that. So like that he gives the pointers of the search, and also he indicates the elements where the search should be conducted. That is the adhyatma. You should search in the adhyatma, and so do it. Go and do it. Tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva. Tapa alochane. Tapa alochane. Tapa alochane is not Panini's dhatu patha. It is Vyakarana prasiddhi. So tapa alochane means investigate, inquire, find out. Then satapodapyata. So he has investigated and he understood in one way. Annam brahmeti jajana. Then goes to the father. Father says you have to look deeper than that. You have understood well, the investigation is going in the right direction, but it has not yet reached the proper, the end point. The zenith it has not yet reached, but the direction is good. Therefore, dear son, go and investigate further. That is what the Upanishad is. Did it ever occur to you? Upanishads means these are standard Upanishads, not 108 Upanishads. The standard Upanishads do not represent a God, a fixated God for belief. They don't. They don't. That's why they don't. The answer, if you ask the Upanishad, the answer, what is religion, you won't get the answer. You have to go and ask the Purana, not the Upanishad. Therefore, coming back to my anecdote with which I started this class, the Mahatma said, don't ask what is religion, ask what is not religion. So, once you know what is not religion, suppose you know what is not religion, now, in your lifetime, no priest can ever deceive you, no book can ever misguide you. No God-man can ever take you for a ride. Not only that, no calamity in life or no fear or frustration in life can put you on a wrong track. Calamities come, fears, insecurities are part of the nature of human beings. So everybody has his own or her own insecurities, we have our troubles and we have our problems, but we do not use them to push us into some sort of a belief system. We don't allow these fears and insecurities and calamities of life to corner us into some belief. We don't do that. Once you know what is not religion. Therefore, it is imperative to understand what is not religion. Then the Mahatma asked me, okay Mahatma ji, tell me what is not religion, help me to find out what is not religion. He asked me, you ask, you should ask by now, you should learn to ask. So he suggested, all ceremonies are religion. Begin there. Because that is what you see everywhere in the name of religion. Some ceremonies are being performed. A ceremony, so in ceremonies, you are merely repeating a formula. You are not doing anything more than that. Just repeating the formula which is handed down. And you may find certain pleasure in performing a ceremony. You may find certain pleasure in many things. In many things you may find certain pleasure. That should not mislead you. You should be still able to think clearly. What is there? If you take ice cream, you will find some pleasure in it. Not like that. So in ceremonies, there is that character. It gives a sensation. By the time you perform the ceremony and complete it, you feel there is a feel-good factor, what they say. And some pleasure you feel, or some good sensation you feel, as if you have done something so good, like that you will feel. That is always there. That could be there in many other situations also, where there is no religion involved. So you have invested in a particular stock which went up, and you feel good there also. Therefore, that should not be the criterion. What you have to notice is, in a ceremony, you are just repeating a formula which is handed down to you. Is that religion? You have to ask that question. Is that religion? You see, I am looking at some facts. I am not condemning anything. I am just looking at the facts. So you can conclude easily. It should not be difficult to conclude that ceremonies, celebrations, etc., they are not religion. In fact, in these ceremonies and celebrations, there is an insensitivity towards life. You spoil plants, you pluck flowers, you uproot the plants also. Once there were tears in my eyes. They were doing a ceremony, some religious ceremony, and there are two pillars there. The hall is standing on pillars, and so two pillars at the main door. The two pillars are there. You know what they have done? They went to a plantation of banana plantation, and two trees which have the fruits moderately ripe. They are still ripening. It will take another 15 days to get ripe banana fruits, and the tree's life will be over then. They have cut those trees with a saw at the bottom. Perfectly they cut it. Like in America, they cut the Christmas tree, just exactly they cut it. Like that, two banana trees they have cut, along with that half-ripe bunch of fruits. They have cut them and brought as such and tied to these cement pillars. I was stunned. Such insensitivity. You wait for 15 days, then it will give you a big bunch of banana fruits which you can eat, you can give to others. You destroy like that in the name of ceremony. Such insensitivity. Therefore, you have to examine. So, ceremonies and celebrations, they have an element of adharma which can be easily recognized if you are not blind enough in your belief. And that insensitivity, how that can be religion? So having so much insensitivity, is that religion? Therefore, you have to understand that the ceremonies and celebrations cannot be religion. So this is what is called wiping the window clean. So gradually, what is not religion? You wipe the window clean. Then once the window becomes clean, what you see will be the real. What you see will be the timeless, which you may call God. So that is religion. That is the true religion, which helps you to discover the truth. So you come to it in a negative way. You don't come to it in a positive way. Therefore, but this kind of investigation requires enormous insight and patience, and understanding. Only such people who have the patience, the understanding and the insight can know what is true religion. Therefore, you have to investigate and find the true religion, because here you have to serve the world which is but a form of Ishvara, and that is the true religion. Ashtamurti Bhrut Deva Pujanam. So, you see, you have to look at the world in the right way. In the right way, you have to look at the world. So, you see, this Pujanam means the vision of religion which is there in our hearts, heart or mind. It is so an advanced state of mind in which peace, equanimity, universal love become spontaneous and natural. Because you are looking at Jagat as but a form of God, multiple forms of God, 8 of them to be precise. Ashtamurti Bhrit Deva Pujanam. And the Pujanam is the service done to these 8 forms. Therefore, in that understanding, there is an equanimity. You rise above the opposites. And the love which is universal, you will experience that universal love. And there is intense peace in that vision, because what you are looking at is not a multifarious world. It is the 8 forms of that reality which you may call God. Therefore, the religion should help us. The true religion, that is the true religion which helps us directly to experience the true reality behind the myriad names and forms. That is the true religion. Like, as an example, when I look at a jeweler shop, generally I don't enter because I have no reason to enter a jeweler's shop. But suppose I enter or do some window shopping, I end up seeing only gold. The different forms in which the gold is presented have no attraction for me. But I am conscious of the gold. It's not I am blind to the forms. I am aware of the forms. I see the forms. But not only I see the forms, but also I see through the forms. Therefore, I understand the gold. In the same way, when you follow the true religion, so you directly experience or directly get into communion with the true real behind all names and forms in the universe. You see, in this religion, there is an important factor, that is, in following the true religion, you do away with the egoity. The egoity will not be there. Because you look at the world as Ashtamurti. Do you know this? There is an egoity in you. Only when there is a multifarious world divided into all kinds of opposites before you, they go together. One Maharshi used to emphasize this fact a lot. He used to say, the body-mind identified ego and the world. In fact, he used to say 3 things. I have condensed it into 2, but in his own words, the body, the ego, and the world, they come together and they sync together. Therefore, when you are looking at a multifarious world, you are an egoic entity. And as long as you are an egoic entity, you look at a multifarious world. You know what is multifarious word? Multifarious, that word is a combination of multitudinous and variegated. When you combine 2 words, multitudinous and variegated, variety and multiplicity. When you combine them, it is called multifarious. That is the world which you are looking at. And who is looking at that world? You, the egoic entity, is looking at that world. And then when the world is world, then you are the body. So there is no religion in it. And it is not a true religion. Therefore, in the true religion, when you see the names and forms as unreal, I tell you one thing, you may want to pay attention to it and investigate it. When it is like wiping the window clean. When you look at the world and see clearly that the names and forms are unreal, they are mere appearance, there is no substance in them. They are shells without any kernel. And that vision you have, suppose you have that vision, and it is well settled in you that Vacharambhanam Vikaram Ramadhena, it is all unreal. It is all a myth, no truth in it. It is all mere appearance. There is no reality in all this. Once that settles down in your system, in your understanding, there will be a deep peace and understanding of the real, which you may call God. That is how the Nama-rupa prevent the truth, prevent the realization of the truth. So much so, just you be able to overcome the Nama-rupa, you will be with the truth immediately. It is the Nama-rupa which prevents the truth. And what you call Jagat is merely Nama-rupa, nothing else. But people don't want to know all that. Because if they know that, suppose you say the Nama-rupa is absolutely unreal and dismissed, then you will not be left with any systems, any patterns, any structures. There is nothing to believe now, nothing to be afraid of, nothing to desire. You will be immersed in deep peace. So, when you are attached to these systems and patterns and all that, you don't want to know the truth. And therefore, you pull wool on your own eyes. And the name of that wool is Nama-rupa. And therefore get attached to multiple names and forms. On the other hand, when the Nama-rupa are given a go-by, the egoity doesn't persist anymore, because the egoity itself is the construct of reality given to the Nama-rupa. I am this, I am that. And the body, it's a male, female. And it is real. It is a Brahmana, it is a Kshatriya, it is Indian, it is a non-Indian. So all these are mental forms, Nama-rupa. Rupa is not necessarily physical form only. Therefore, when you are able to rise above this curtain of Nama-rupas, and you see, that is how you look at the world as Ishvara, Ashtamurti Bharata. You see, if you look at the Ashtamurti, Prithvi, Vayu, etc., they don't have a shape. They are called the forms of God, but they are only forms of God. They don't have a shape, no akara. Only Saguna, Nirakara. Ashtamurti, you see, in Ashtamurti, you arrive at Saguna, Nirakara. It is not Saguna, Sakara. In Upanishads and in Ramana's teachings, you will not find Saguna, Sakara. There is no Saguna, Sakara. Saguna is good enough. Already you have come down one step from the real. You stay there and retrace your steps back to the reality. If you go Saguna into Sakara, Saguna is not as misleading. It is not misleading. It is very helpful. As long as that sense of division is there, the Saguna Upasana will be helpful. But in your weakness of mind or lack of understanding, because of lack of proper understanding, you are not satisfied with Saguna, and now you want an Akara. Now, once you want one Akara, It is not delayed anymore. It is soon that you want another akara. Now you want to conduct a marriage to the two akaras. So it will go on and on and on. Now you have already lost the game, I suppose, because you have become entrenched in the belief system which is full of Namarupa. These are Namarupa. You know, do you get the sense of what Namarupa means? Namarupa means it is entirely verbal. Verbal. Nothing else. Entirely verbal. So there is a story. There was a king by name Nobody. And he was ruling the kingdom that never existed. And he has 3 sons without ever getting married and getting connected to any woman. This story, the nanny at the Dhatri, you know, she was telling to the young boy, small boy. This is called Balakopakhyanam in Yoga Vasishtha. So she was narrating this story to the young boy. Now young boy says, then what? He wants to know what next. Then these 3 princes undertook a journey by a chariot which has no wheels and yoked to horses made of wood. And the path is in this space, Akasha. Oh. So they travelled, the boy asks, they travelled? Yes. They travelled for 3 days and they arrived at a town called Abhavapuram. And then they were very hungry after a long journey, and therefore they got hold of pots made of sand, big pots, and put three such pots, and have put in each pot 3 minus 4 100 weights of 3 minus 4 quintals of rice in each pot. In one pot 3 minus 4 quintal, in another pot 5 minus 7 quintal, and in a third pot they have put 1 minus 4 quintal rice, and cooked all that rice without water and no fire. And then they served the food. Then what happened? The boy is asking. Now shall I tell you who is that boy? We are all that boy, I tell you. That is the reality of Namarupa. You talk about big things. Go on writing books and discussing days together, whether it is half real, 50% real, 100% real. Kya baat hai bhai? It has become a game of words which makes you feel very pleasurable. And very deceptive game it is. Therefore, to overcome the Namarupa is very essential. Unless you overcome the Namarupa, both within and without, how can you look at the whole world as Ashtamurti Bhrut Deva? So, therefore, as you overcome this Akara, the Namarupa, without as well as within, it happens simultaneously. So stop giving reality to them. They will disappear into thin air because they cannot stand by themselves, because they are unreal, you know, they are false. The false cannot have a capacity to stand by itself. The serpent, it cannot stand on its own. It doesn't stand in its own right. It is there only because you see it. The Namarupa are like that. Because you are giving importance to them, they proliferate. You see their falsehood, they fall off. They won't, they disappear into thin air. And then there is no question of looking at yourself as a set of names and forms. There is no question of looking at the world as a multifarious world. So you are an impersonal sentient being There is sentience, there is awareness, but there is no person. Impersonal awareness, and the world is in the first stage, it is Saguna, manifest form of God. Ashtamurti Bhrudeva Pujanam. So, you have to achieve that religion, that is the religion in which the world before you is not the world anymore, is Ashtamurti Bhrudeva, and you yourself are an impersonal awareness. Both happens simultaneously. So that is the true religion. You arrive at that understanding with patience, with the pure mind only you can arrive at it. A mind crippled by belief which in itself is motivated by desires for ends and fears. So such a mind which is crippled that way cannot see the truth. And so a mind which is saturated, which is filled with all kinds of so-called knowledge. What you call knowledge is memory. What you call knowledge is but memory, nothing more than that. So when the mind is saturated with all that memory, it cannot see the truth, because all that content, you filter whatever you see and whatever you listen to through that content. It is filtered through that content. And so you do not get the real picture at all. You get the picture, whatever that content gives you the picture, that only you get. Therefore you have to wipe the mind clean. So, and then you will see the timeless, the nameless and the formless, timeless reality. You are in communion with it, and you may call that God. If you wish to name it God, you can call it. Sometimes it is called Brahma because it is spaceless. It is called Atma because it is your innermost reality. It is called Antaryami because it is the inbuilt controller, commander of all the names and forms. So different names are given to it. So you come to realize the truth. So then I pursued this inquiry, how to arrive at the truth. I was amazed at the answer that I got. The first answer, first step is take simple diet in moderate quantity. Now, is there any connection between it? We are talking of the true religion. We are talking of experiencing, if you will, the timeless, spaceless, nameless reality which we can call God. We are talking of that. And now you talk of eating right food in moderate quantity. What is this? It may appear like that. But I tell you, as long as you pamper the body, you will not know the truth. That's why an enormous focus on food is unspiritual. Not only unspiritual, even at the ground level it is unhealthy. So, therefore, that is the number one. So, because the Mahatma says, the first steps first. So, start there. Then, take physical exercises regularly, because that will make the mind fresh. That is wiping out the mind. When there is freshness in the mind, all these silly desires and meaningless fears will find it hard to take root in such a fresh mind. Whereas an overeating person whose focus is entirely on the food and other pleasures of the world has a sick mind in which the desires and fears run riot. Therefore, first things first, keep a healthy body and healthy mind. And then avoid company of people who are likely to disturb your peace of mind. And be in the company of the spiritually evolved persons so that they can impart their practical wisdom to you. So cultivate the company of such Mahatmas. So slowly there will settle a tranquility within you, and you remain tranquil, silent, peace, and you remain in solitude. People grow in peace and silence. They do not grow in the commotion of these ceremonies and celebrations. They don't grow. They become very selfish in that atmosphere. In peace, silence, and a tranquil atmosphere, within and without, you grow. And once the mind is wiped clean, you will come across, or you will realize, the timeless, which you may call Brahma or God. This is how the religion has to be understood. Also, this, I have another way of looking at it. So, Ashtamurti Hrudeva Pujanam. So there is a thing called God consciousness. Whether you have heard it or not, you better pay attention to that. God consciousness. Presently, not presently, generally people say God, God, God 10 times a day. But they are not godly. They are not godly. They are very selfish, very egoic, very arrogant, haughty, and very deceptive, crafty, manipulative. They are all that. They are not godly. But they say God, 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 God. And recite God 10 times. That is not, they are very world conscious people. So just God is on the lips only. It is a word. It don't mean anything. So you see, I have met a gentleman. He told Purohit, the priest, he is the sponsor. He sponsors that day's puja or whatever. He tells the Purohit, Bhogam kya kar rahe ho? What bhoga you are doing? Bhoga is the prasadam, Naivedyam. That is his ask. The morning, the puja will be performed after some time, and then prasada will be distributed. He is asking, which is the bhoga today? Bhoga means, you see how it has become. You are supposed to give up bhoga, you are supposed to follow bhoga. Dekho, what religion has done to the society in the name of religion. So, what is the bhoga today? So the priest said, I am thinking what to prepare. Then this man says, prepare pulihodra. That is the bhoga. I was wondering, why this pulihodra? Pulihodra is translated into English as tiger food. It is not tiger food. That puli is not a tiger. That puli is